This video is going to review how you raise a binomial to the third power. Well, if something is being raised to the third power, it means it's going to be multiplied by itself 3 times. So I'm going to write it 3 times next to each other to show multiplication. Next, if you're multiplying, you can only multiply 2 things together at a time, or 2 factors. So I'm going to start with the first 2. And I'm going to FOIL or distribute that out. So I'm going to go 2a times 2a is 4a squared. This should be a review, I hope. Next thing I'm going to do is do 2a times b, and I'm going to just write 2ab. I generally put my variables in alphabetical order, although 2ba is not wrong. Now I'm going to take the b times both of these terms. b times 2a is 2ab. Again, you can write 2ba if you wanted to, but I again prefer alphabetical order. And b times b, that last arch right there, is b squared. I notice that these terms right here are like terms, so I can add them together. So I have 4a squared, 2ab's plus 2ab more is 4ab, and then I'll bring down the b squared. So these first 2 multiplied together give me 4a squared plus 4ab plus b squared. Now I'm ready to multiply by the third one. Now when there are 2 things being multiplied by 3 things, I generally take each one of these times each term in the trinomial. So in this binomial, I'll take the 2a times all 3, and then I'll take the b times all 3. You do not have to do that. You could take the 4a squared times both of them, and then the 4ab times both of them, and then the b squared times both of them. It's up to you. So I'm going to go 2a times 4a squared, 8a cubed. When you're multiplying, exponents will change. Next, 2a times 4ab, that would give me 8a squared b, and then 2a times b squared, 2ab squared. Next, when I take the b times everybody here, I will actually put my results on a new line, and watch where I place them, because this is pretty important. b times 4a squared is 4a squared b. I'm going to put it underneath the term that already had a squared b. Now I'm going to take the b times 4ab, which is actually 4ab squared. I'm going to write it underneath the other one that was ab squared, and then b times b squared is b cubed. This is just a personal preference. I know some students write them all in a big line. I like this because it's so easy to miss an exponent that when I write it like this and line them up, I'm just a little more careful. So now I have 8a cubes, 12 when I add those together. A squared b, again, do not change exponents there when you're adding. 2ab squareds plus 4ab squareds is 6ab squareds, and then a b cubed on the end. If you really want a coefficient in front of that, you can put a 1. So there is an example of cubing a binomial. Now I'm going to do one where we're raising a binomial, meaning 2 terms, to the 4th power. So you'll notice I wrote it 4 times. Again, you can only multiply 2 together at once. So if I do x times x, I'm going to multiply these first 2 first. I will get x squared. X times 2, I get 2x. 2 times x, I get another 2x. 2 times 2, I get a 4. So when I multiply these binomials together, I'll combine these like terms, I will get x squared plus 4x plus 4. Now I could multiply these 2 together next if I wanted to, because I already know what the answer is supposed to be. X squared plus 4x plus 4. Save myself some time. Now I'm down to just multiplying these together. Now this can be a little tricky. You may, if your teacher was into the box, when it becomes more than 2 things, some teachers really push this, and that's fine. you'd have x squared plus 4x plus 4 times x squared plus 4x plus 4, and you could fill in the box. However, I did find that a lot of people just did the arches for distributing, and I'll do that here. I'm going to take the x squared times all three, and when I do that, I get x squared times x squared is x to the fourth. X squared times 4x is 4x cubed. X squared times 4 is 4x squared. Now I'm going to take the 4x here times all three. 4x times x squared is 4x cubed. I'm going to start on a new line for these terms, and I'm actually going to put it underneath the x cubed from before. 4x times 4x would be 16x squared. I'll put it underneath the old x squared, and then 4x times 4 is 16x. Now I'm going to take the 4 times all three of these. 4 times x squared, 4x squared, again starting a new line. And then I'm going to do the 4 times the 4x, 16x, and the 4 times the 4, 16. And then I can combine like terms, and they're already lined up, making it a little easier. I will have 1x to the fourth. You can put the 1 there. You do not have to. If I add these together, I get 8x cubes. If I add all of these together, I get 24x squareds. These together, I get 32x. And then a 16 on the end. Although I will show this because in case this was how it was pushed for you last year. X squared times x squared, x to the fourth. 4x times x squared, 4x cubed. 4 times x squared, 4x squared. You'll notice that these are still the same numbers we had up here. 4x times x squared, 4x cubed. 4x times 4x, 16x squared. 4x times 4, 16x. 4 times x squared, 4x squared. 4 times 4x, 16x. 4 times 4, 16. Now some students really like this one because they can see the like terms on the diagonal. And you'll still get x to the fourth. If I'm running off here. 4 and 4 gives me 8x cubes. 4, 4, and 16 is 24x squareds. 16 and 16 is 32x's. And a 16 on the end. So you will get the same answer, it's just what you prefer to do. So that's cubing and raising something to the fourth power of a binomial.